Investigative reporter Eric Rasmussen is here with a new guilty plea. And Eric, this just came down this afternoon.
Right, we're talking about Abdi Wahab Mohammed. He was part of a group accused of stealing more than 17 million taxpayer dollars.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is endorsing Senator Omar Fateh, his biggest endorsement so far.
Fateh continues to deny questions about any ethical missteps, including when he fast-tracked a housing bill without disclosing his wife's alleged business ties to the project.
So here we have Omar endorsing Omar. And both Omars were involved in the Feeding Our Future fraud and have some kind of funny shenanigans behind their names, y'all. And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And, of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, today we're talking about your girl. You see her on the screen. Who is that? That's Ilhan Omar, y'all. She's feeding our future. Don't you see her over there feeding people in this restaurant here, Safari? Oh, yeah, that was part of a $250 million fraud scheme that happened in Minnesota. And, yeah, the fallout from that continues, y'all. We're going to bring you the latest update on that. There's Omar Fateh. He also was involved in the $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. He helped it continue when they tried to shut it down. Fateh said, no, we're feeding our future. We need to continue. And of course, it was just robbing and stealing $250 million. So we're going to get the latest on that today, y'all. We're also going to circle back around about how your girl, Ilhan Omar, is now endorsing Omar Fateh. So you have one person on this side who was involved in promoting the $250 million fraud scheme. And you have one person on that side who was involved in promoting the $250 million fraud. And now they're coming together, y'all. They're coming together for a better Minnesota and a better Minneapolis. And finally, y'all, we're going to take a look at some connections that some of the convicted fraudsters have with your girl. And we're also going to take a look at some more discrepancies and irregularities that Omar Fateh has in his not too distant past, y'all. So today we're just looking at a whole lot of Minnesota and Minneapolis fraud. It's a follow-up to previous videos. So y'all, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. But before we do, y'all, we have a new webpage for my people out there who are like, yo, I have money, but I don't want to give it away to the people who are trying to take it. How can I protect my retirement? Y'all, gold. How many times do I have to tell you? Gold has been man's longest monetary best friend for 5,000 years. I mean, what else are you looking for? Go to our webpage. Go to the new webpage, Paralegold. PARALEGOLD.com. Get the information on how to protect your retirement. And you can call 844-651-8334 and speak to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals. Now let's go ahead and hop into this content.
New developments came in this afternoon in the Feeding Our Future fraud investigation.
Investigative reporter Eric Rasmussen is here with a new guilty plea. And Eric, this just came down this afternoon.
Right, we're talking about Abdi Wahab Mohammed. He was part of a group accused of stealing more than 17 million taxpayer dollars. A judge threw Mohammed in jail this week after prosecutors accused him of witness tampering ahead of his trial. They say he confronted a co-defendant at the Mall of America and made her promise not to testify against him. Jury selection at the federal courthouse in Minneapolis was supposed to start next week. Now, today, Mohammed pleaded guilty to wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering, all of it connected to false claims that he helped feed thousands of children a day during the pandemic. Mohammed was the final holdout in his group of 8 defendants who also took plea deals. Eric Rasmussen, 5 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Eric, thank you for the update.
So there you see there's witness tampering, there's juror bribery, all kinds of stuff happened with this $250 million fraud scheme. And you know, 2 people who helped this whole thing go forward, where you're looking at somebody on your screen who's feeding our future. Don't you want to feed the future, people? Y'all, I'm tripping, but don't you? I mean, don't you want to feed the future? If so, then Ilhan Omar is on your side, and so is Omar Fateh, because they both came out strongly and prominently, not only in favor of feeding our future, but also in favor of the scheme that defrauded Minnesotans over $250 million. And now Omar is endorsing Omar, y'all. Isn't that cute? Let's take a look.
With weeks to go until Minneapolis elects a mayor, a major announcement. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is endorsing Senator Omar Fateh, his biggest endorsement so far. Here is Esme Murphy with our exclusive story.
Well, I'm excited to announce that I will be supporting Senator Fateh for the mayor of the city of Minneapolis.
Our Congresswoman, who I'm really excited to have her support.
And with that, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar put her stamp of approval on a grateful State Senator Omar Fateh, who envisions a city that is more equal.
Minneapolis seems to be a tale of two cities, one for the wealthy and the well-connected, and the rest of everyone else.
The Congresswoman believes the 35-year-old senator, a Democratic socialist, can lead with a progressive agenda.
I have trust in the senator's track record that he will find a way to make sure that we have ordinances, legislation that is passing through that speaks to the desires and the needs of the residents of the city.
Fateh's run has not been entirely smooth. He is being accused of campaign violations for continuing to use the term DFL endorsed on his campaign signs. The state DFL rescinded the endorsement after convention irregularities surfaced and declined to make an endorsement of anyone else. Fateh says he is benefiting from a backlash.
People stop me and they tell me that we're really hurt and upset by what happened with the DFL taking back the endorsement.
Fateh continues to deny questions about any ethical missteps, including when he fast-tracked a housing bill without disclosing his wife's alleged business ties to the project.
It was not a finance bill. It was not to benefit my wife or anyone. It was a program integrity bill.
Representative Omar knows both Senator Fateh and Mayor Fry well. She says it's Fateh who is best suited to bring the warring factions at City Hall together. Fateh points to his work on expanding access to opioid detection strips, free college for low-income students, and a deal to keep Uber and Lyft drivers in the Twin Cities as examples of how he can work with different sides. For Jacob Fry, not getting a Representative Omar endorsement is nothing new. He's won the mayor's race twice without it. With photojournalists Louis Carpel and Nick Luneman, Esme Murphy, WCCO News.
One of Ilhan Omar's close associates actually went down as a result of this feeding our future fraud that we talked about. We're going to get to that in a sec here. But if you noticed in that report, they asked Omar Fateh, they were like, well, what about when you passed that law that helped your wife's business? And he's like, nah, man, because all of this and all of this happened and then all of that happened. So you might be like, well, what is that about, Fateh? Well, lucky for you, we have the report on that. Let's take a look.
Tonight, new questions about politics, ethics, and a candidate for Minneapolis mayor. A KARE 11 investigation into Minnesota's troubled housing stabilization program, already exposed for widespread fraud, now reveals an unexpected connection to candidate and state senator Omar Fateh. Lou Ragus is here now with details. Lou?
And Julie, right up front, I want to be clear. We found no evidence of billing fraud here. However, we did discover something raising what a legal expert labels serious ethical concerns. Senator Omar Fateh's wife was a listed owner of a housing stabilization company, even as the senator and current Minneapolis mayoral candidate himself was pushing legislation to fast-track client approvals for the taxpayer-funded program.
Senator Fateh, Senate File 2741.
A bill that will address a critical delay in access to housing stabilization services, also known as HSS.
It's March 24th, 2025, and Senator Omar Fateh is the sole author of a bill he says will speed up access for people to be approved for HSS, a Medicaid-funded program to help the elderly and disabled find and maintain housing.
HSS is a lifeline.
A lifeline moving too slow, the senator says, because at DHS there was a months-long enrollment backlog as the agency was overwhelmed by the number of people being signed up.
Delays that are putting people at risk of eviction, extended homelessness, and service lapses.
What was not known at the time was that Senator Fateh had an undisclosed tie to the HSS industry.
Does this raise any red flags?
It raises lots of red flags.
Political science professor David Schultz has taught ethics for 25 years. He says what raises red flags is that Senator Fateh's wife Khaltoum Mohammed was a founder and owner of Community Development Services, LLC, an HSS company.
This is a situation where I think almost anybody schooled in, government ethics 101 would know that you can't introduce legislation that benefits yourself.
Fateh's campaign staff says his wife no longer owned the company, which had not started billing Medicaid when he introduced the legislation. They point to this handwritten note in Secretary of State records dated April of 2024 that states Khaltoum Mohammed is no longer associated with the company. However, a Secretary of State spokesperson tells KARE 11 this document does not remove someone from a company. And more than a year later, just 4 days after KARE 11's investigation exposed allegations of widespread fraud in the HSS program, this record, listing the senator's wife as a current owner of Community Development Services, LLC, was filed with DHS. The record, electronically signed by her and dated May 5th, 2025, transferred full ownership of the HSS company to her business partner, meaning she still was, on paper at least, officially an owner when her husband introduced that bill.
That's pretty powerful evidence that somebody still is involved with an organization.
Senator Fateh declined KARE 11's interview request and has not directly answered questions. However, he posted to social media last week criticizing the Star Tribune, who appears to have contacted him researching the same story, writing, "It's about manufacturing a scandal when there is none," and insinuates wrongdoing when it's clear there was none.
So yeah, y'all, you have Omar Fateh, who's passing laws that are directly benefiting his wife, like directly, which benefits him too, because he's married to her. You have Omar Fateh, who won his Democratic endorsement through some shenanigans, apparently, allegedly. I don't know what happened, but they wound up taking the endorsement back due to voting irregularities. But then he continues to promote himself as the endorsed candidate, even though the endorsement was taken away. And then you have him with your girl, Ilhan Omar, both of whom promoted this massive fraud. And they're in a city where, look, y'all, if we get into the immigration fraud, we get into the autism fraud, we get into the Medicaid fraud. I mean, come on, people. But I promised you that I would show you how one of Ilhan Omar's close associates was caught up in the feeding our future fraud. Yeah, not only was she out there serving the meals, to whom I do not know, because that was the fraud. They said they were serving meals to people who didn't exist. So who was she serving in these videos you're watching? Do you see any people receiving meals? I see a bunch of what looks like meals. I don't see any people. Definitely not thousands of people. But anyway, one of her close associates was caught up in this. You know, the fraud that she herself promoted, y'all. Let's take a look. Guhad Hassi Saeed, a former aide to Representative Ilhan Omar, has pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering in connection with the federal child nutrition program. Okay, it doesn't say which one. Prosecutors allege Saeed participated in a scheme to falsify meal. This must be Feeding Our Future. Y'all, we've made so many videos on Feeding Our Future. Prosecutors allege Saeed participated in a scheme to falsify meal counts in order to illegally obtain government funds, profiting from the misappropriation of aid intended for children. Oh, this is a man. His guilty plea was part of a broader multi-defendant Feeding Our Future investigation. Now, y'all, we've done so many reports on this. Ilhan Omar herself, actually, in her, I would say her official capacity as a representative, she promoted this $250 million fraud. And now here, just today, one of her staffers has pleaded guilty? Pleaded guilty. So did she know? Prosecutors allege that Saeed and others had submitted inflated meal counts and falsified paperwork to claim federal child nutrition program reimbursements. Ooh, y'all think they might be getting close to... He pleaded guilty. Did he have to give us some information? I'm not even going to go off and speculate on that. Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph H. Thompson stated Saeed purported to operate a federal child nutrition program site under the name Advanced Youth Athletic Development. Saeed incorporated that company on February 26, 2021 and listed its registered office at a residential apartment unit in Central Avenue Lofts, an apartment building in Northeast Minneapolis. Woo, this is close to Ilhan Omar, y'all. This is close to Ilhan Omar. So we are going to keep an eye on this. This just popped up again. I opened my browser. I'm about to go to YouTube so I can record the news clip about Fateh, and this pops up. So we're going to keep an eye on this. Y'all, Ilhan Omar, your girl. This pops up. This is a former aide. All right. So here we have Omar endorsing Omar. And both Omars were involved in the Feeding Our Future fraud. And have some kind of funny shenanigans behind their names, y'all. You know, but I'm just reporting the news, y'all. Obviously, all of this is allegedly. They haven't been arrested. They haven't been charged. They haven't been convicted of anything. So we're just pointing out some things that are in the news. So y'all let me know. Omar is endorsing Omar for mayor. But he's running against the current mayor, Fry. And that guy is whatever. Who do you think is going to win, y'all? We are about, less than a month away from the actual elections, okay? Do you think Omar wins? Do you think Fry wins? I don't think these other guys have a chance. Who do you think wins? Do you think Omar is going to help Omar become the mayor of Minneapolis? Or do you think all these frauds and scandals and whatnot are going to derail Omar, even though Omar's endorsed by Omar? Let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Before you do, please hit the share button. Share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. To my people in retirement, go look at the new website, y'all. The new website, look, new website, new day, new opportunity to protect your money from the people who are trying to take it from you and give it to somebody else. Go to paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com and call our partners at Augusta Precious Metals at 844-651-8334. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.